everyone. Welcome back to Speak English Fluently. I'm Emma, and today we're exploring something incredibly important for your fluency: daily conversations. Most learners think you need a partner, a tutor, or a native friend to practice real conversations, but that's not true. You can build powerful speaking habits even when you're completely alone.
And I'm James. This topic is so important because speaking practice is usually the hardest thing to get. Many learners don't have anyone to talk to in English every day. Some are shy, some are busy, some have no English environment. But the truth is, you don't need another person to speak fluently. You can create conversations by yourself, and it works far better than most people think.
In fact, some of the world's most fluent non-native English speakers improved mainly through self-conversations. They practiced alone every day and built the habit of using English regularly. Speaking daily, even alone, is more effective than speaking occasionally with someone else. Frequency matters more than partners.
Let's start with a simple truth. Your brain needs repetition to build fluency. If you speak only when someone is available, you get maybe 1 or 2 sessions a week. But if you talk to yourself, you can practice every day, morning, afternoon, night. Consistency beats everything.
Talking to yourself creates constant exposure. It keeps your mind active in English. It breaks the translation habit. And it transforms your passive knowledge into active, natural speaking. When you speak to yourself, you train your brain to think, respond, and build sentences automatically.
Let's talk about what a daily conversation actually means when you're alone. Some people imagine sitting in a room, talking endlessly to themselves like a monologue. But that's not how it works. Daily conversation alone means short, meaningful exchanges with yourself. Little dialogues, questions, reactions, thoughts spoken out loud.
These are mini conversations that simulate real communication. They push your brain to switch from thinking in your native language to producing English instantly. That instant response is the foundation of fluency.
The secret is structure. If you create a simple structure for daily self-conversations, your fluency grows quickly. Let's break down a few methods that work extremely well.
Method 1 is the two-voice technique. You create a dialogue between you and you as another speaker. For example, should I cook now? I think you should finish this first. This sounds silly, but it builds the ability to speak naturally and respond fast.
Method 2 is the reflection method. At the end of the day, talk through what happened. I woke up late today. I couldn't finish all my tasks, but I learned something important. This builds narrative fluency, the ability to express real thoughts in English.
Method 3 is situation simulation. You imagine a situation and play it out. Can I get a cup of coffee, please? Sure. Hot or cold? Hot, with a little milk. This prepares your mind for real situations before they happen.
And it works. When the real moment comes, your brain already knows what to say because you practiced it before. Fluency is repetition, not magic.
Method 4 is talking through decisions. Whenever you have to decide something, food, clothes, work, do it in English. Should I wear this? No. Maybe the other one looks better. These quick conversations build everyday fluency.
Method 5 is the reaction method. See something happening around you and react in English. That car was fast. That dog looks cute. That man seems tired. This builds natural, spontaneous thinking.
Let's go deeper into why these methods are effective. When you talk to yourself, you remove social pressure. You're not afraid of mistakes. You're not thinking about how you sound. You're free to speak. This freedom allows your brain to relax, and relaxed brains learn faster.
And that's exactly why many learners speak better alone than with others. With others, they freeze, but alone, they flow. The goal is to bring that private fluency into public speaking, and daily self-conversations are the bridge.
Another major benefit is speed. When you talk to yourself daily, even for a minute, your brain practices sentence building. You get faster at forming ideas, connecting words, and producing speech.
Over time, those small daily moments turn into natural fluency. You no longer translate. You no longer hesitate. Speaking becomes automatic.
Let's talk about how daily self-conversations improve pronunciation. When you speak to yourself, you can exaggerate sounds, repeat tricky sentences, or practice mouth movement without embarrassment. This builds physical muscle memory.
Many learners forget that speaking is a physical skill. Your tongue, lips, and breath must learn the movement of English. Daily self-practice trains those muscles gently and consistently.
Another benefit is emotional fluency, expressing feelings in English. When you talk to yourself, you can practice expressing happiness, anger, surprise, confusion, and excitement. This teaches you the emotional tone of English, something textbooks never teach.
And expressing emotions in English makes your speech more natural. English isn't just words, it's attitude, tone, rhythm. Daily conversations allow you to practice all three.
Let's address a common fear. What if I sound crazy? Well, you won't. You don't need to speak loudly all the time. Whisper, move your lips silently, or speak in your mind. All three count as practice.
And honestly, no one cares. Everyone talks to themselves. You're just doing it in English for a purpose. This is private training, not a performance.
Now, let's explore how daily conversations improve vocabulary. When you talk to yourself, your brain naturally searches for words to express your thoughts. This creates genuine need. Vocabulary learned through need stays longer than vocabulary memorized through lists.
And when you don't know a word, you practice describing it. This skill is essential for fluency. If you can't remember umbrella, you can still say, the thing you use when it rains. That's real communication.
Another important part of daily self-conversation is repetition. If you use a phrase often, your brain keeps it ready for the next situation. For example, after practicing, let me think. I'm not sure. Actually, that makes sense. You start using them automatically in real conversations.
Next, let's talk about structure. Many learners fail because they speak randomly. But if you build a daily routine, your progress becomes fast and stable. Here's a simple routine you can follow. Morning, 1 minute, narrate actions. Afternoon, 1 minute, talk through decisions. Evening, 2 minutes, reflect on your day. Night, 2 minutes, imagine tomorrow's conversations. This creates a natural cycle of English thinking.
Another helpful technique is question loops. Ask yourself 2 or 3 simple questions every day. How do I feel? What's my plan? What did I learn today? Answer them in English. The repetition builds direct thinking.
And don't worry about perfect grammar during self-conversations. Grammar improves naturally through usage. Speaking every day builds instinctive grammar, the kind that appears automatically without memorizing rules.
Let's talk about hesitation. Many learners hesitate because they're afraid of mistakes. But when you talk to yourself daily, you stop judging yourself. Your fluency becomes free from fear.
And when fear and hesitation disappear, your speaking improves dramatically. You start sounding confident, natural, and fluid.
Another benefit of daily conversations is emotional involvement. When you speak alone, you use English to express your own life, your thoughts, your feelings, your plans. This makes the language personal.
And personal English sticks longer. The more meaningful the subject, the stronger the memory.
Let's talk about creativity. Speaking alone gives you a chance to play with English. Try new expressions. Try new sentence structures. Try different ways of expressing the same idea.
And creativity builds flexible fluency, the ability to say things in multiple ways. That's what native speakers do naturally.
Another technique that works beautifully is dialogue transformation. Remember a conversation you had today in your native language and recreate it in English later. This trains your brain to reinterpret your life through English.
This method is extremely effective because it connects real situations with English expression. Your brain learns how to describe your world without translation.
Let's also talk about environment. If you don't have an English environment, you must create one. And self-conversation is the easiest way. Every time you speak to yourself in English, you're building your own English world.
And your environment doesn't need to be perfect. A few sentences a day is enough. Consistency builds fluency, not intensity.
Another technique is preparing for future situations. If you know you have a meeting, interview, or a conversation coming soon, practice the possible dialogues alone. This helps your brain rehearse the situation.
And when the real conversation happens, you feel more confident because you already prepared your responses in English.
Daily self-conversations also improve listening indirectly. When you speak regularly, your brain gets familiar with English patterns. You recognize these patterns when others speak.
That's why speaking and listening are connected. The more you speak, the easier listening becomes, even though you practiced alone.
Now, let's talk about self-awareness. When you speak alone, you hear your own voice. You notice what sounds good and what doesn't. This helps you improve clarity.
And hearing your own English builds confidence. You stop doubting yourself. You start trusting your voice.
Daily conversations also help you break the habit of long pauses. When you practice answering your own questions quickly, you train your brain to respond fast.
And fast response is one of the biggest signs of natural fluency. Even if the sentence is simple, speed makes it sound fluent.
Another technique is role switching. Ask yourself a question as one character, answer as another. This builds conversational rhythm.
Rhythm is deeply important. English is a rhythm-based language. Daily conversations train your mouth and mind to feel that rhythm.
Another benefit is privacy. You don't need to worry about how you sound to others. This gives you freedom to practice pronunciation, complex sentences, or emotional expressions without fear.
And that privacy allows you to experiment. You can try accents, tones, sentence styles, anything. This experimentation makes you a flexible speaker.
Another powerful technique is problem solving in English. When something goes wrong, talk through it in English. What should I do? What's the best solution? How can I fix this? This builds logical speaking.
Logical speaking is important. It improves your ability to explain ideas clearly, a key part of fluency.
Let's discuss mental shifts. To truly grow, you must stop seeing English as a school subject. It must become a daily tool. Daily conversations make English part of your thinking, not just something you study.
And when English becomes part of your thinking, fluency becomes natural. You stop forcing the language, it starts flowing.
Another technique is affirmations. Tell yourself positive things in English. I'm improving. I can speak clearly. I'm getting better. This builds emotional confidence.
And emotional confidence is just as important as speaking skill. Confident learners speak better even with fewer words.
Let's talk about evaluation. Once a week, record a 1-minute self-conversation. Listen to it later. Notice improvements. Notice weak points. This builds self-awareness.
And don't judge yourself harshly. Progress takes time. You are building a long-term skill.
Daily conversations also help you adapt to new vocabulary. When you learn a new word, use it in your self-talk immediately. This brings the word into your active vocabulary.
Vocabulary becomes alive when you use it, not when you memorize it.
Another technique is emotional storytelling. Tell yourself about something that made you happy, sad, or surprised. This builds expressive fluency.
Expressive fluency is advanced fluency. It helps you connect with people emotionally, not just communicate facts.
Let's build a practical daily plan you can follow. Morning, one short dialogue. Afternoon, narrate a task. Evening, describe a memory. Night, plan for tomorrow. This spreads English throughout your day effortlessly.
And remember, short is fine. Even one sentence counts. The important thing is consistency.
Let's talk about motivation. When you talk to yourself daily, you feel progress faster. You realize you can express more than you thought.
And that sense of progress keeps you motivated. Daily conversations create a feedback loop. The more you speak, the better you feel, and the more you want to speak. And when fear disappears, fluency rises. Speaking becomes enjoyable instead of stressful. And when fear disappears, fluency rises. Speaking becomes enjoyable instead of stressful.
Daily conversations also prepare you for real conversations. When you finally talk to someone, your brain is already warmed up.
And real conversations feel easier because you've already practiced similar situations alone.
So remember, daily conversations, even alone, are not a substitute for speaking with others. They are preparation for it. They build the foundation.
And with a strong foundation, every real conversation becomes easier, clearer, and more confident.
Thank you for joining us today. Daily conversations are one of the simplest and most powerful tools in your fluency journey.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Keep practicing.
And keep speaking English fluently.